Hello everyone. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different. We're going to talk about a story, but not a story that's in a comic. No, I'm going to tell you about my story, specifically how I came to collecting, what I've collected, and if we have time, maybe why I started a YouTube channel. And I'm going to attempt to do it all in under 7 minutes. Do you think I could pull it off? Stick around, we're going to find out together. Hello to all my friends out there in YouTube land. It is your good buddy Philtastic Phil here. I would like to welcome you back to my channel. In case you haven't heard, I have been nominated for a 2022 Comic Book Community Award in the field of, well, I guess you could say for the category, rather, of People's Choice. First, let me say I appreciate and thank all of those who nominated me. I am the underdog, but I'm not going to let that deter me. So I figured I'd seen a couple new faces pop on my live videos and my recorded videos in the comment section, that is, lately. And I figured, why don't I tell you about my comic book story, how I started comics, and if we have time, or more accurately, why I started doing a YouTube channel. And I'm going to attempt to do it all in about 7 minutes. I've got my timer here. I'm going to record it just to keep me honest, I guess you could say. Record the timer, that is. So why don't I start that up here? I'm going to do a screen grab first. Okay, and start. Okay, so I started collecting comics in 1990. I wouldn't say I was a full-fledged collector at that point. I honestly was reading Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I was obsessed with Ninja Turtles and anything related to Ninja Turtles. I had the CDs, the video games, everything. I still have my copies of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Adventures, and I also have a bunch of Mirage books, which I've had since I was a kid and probably should have been reading at that point. But I thought I'd show this off in the meantime too. My wife and I went to Garden State Comic Fest in 2016, and I got my trade paperback, which has been well read and well loved, of the Eastman and Laird series, signed by Kevin Eastman. Kind of see it there. He did a nice little remark because he asked me, "Why are you getting this signed? You're not going to preserve it." I was like, "No, this is my copy. This is what I read." All right, I'm almost at 6 minutes now. From there, I honestly wasn't really reading comics heavily. I went and collected cards, Marvel Universe cards, Series 1, which I still have in a trapper right here. Of course, I have the timer on, or else I showed it off to you. And then gradually I transitioned over to Marvel Masterpiece, both Series 1 and Series 2, and then a bunch of friends and I were collecting. And it was kind of weird that I wasn't following Marvel comics or any comics at that point, yet I was buying these cards and reading all of the information and almost had like a pretty good, I think, basis for a knowledge base, rather, at that point. Sorry, I'm watching the clock as well. Almost 5 minutes, 20 seconds. Fast forward, 1992. Death of Superman is happening, as well as the X-Men animated series. And also at this point, I was in middle school, I think it was about 6th grade. We get our first LCS in town, Mike's Comics and Cards. Don't look for it, it's long gone by now. So while I was there, I was buying the Death of Superman. I actually won it in a little contest they had, just like a drop your name in a hat type of thing. And then from there, just watching the X-Men animated series, talking to some of my friends, and I think playing the X-Men arcade game at that point in time, I started getting into the X-Men. My best friend actually sold me the first 10 issues of the adjectiveless X-Men series. He probably ripped me off, but in this timeline, I guess I kind of made out ahead of it. Yeah, years later. Not my best friend anymore, by the way. That's a whole nother story. And I just kept reading comics from there. Strictly X-Men at that point. Ninja Turtles kind of faded away for me. But I did start picking up, Image was just starting up back then. I remember I read Spawn pretty voraciously. Hit, Max. Here and there I would pick up random issues of Spider-Man, but wasn't a fan. DC I would just pick up here and there, random issues of Batman and Steel. I really liked Steel for some reason. And I had followed the Death of Superman all the way to the Reign of the Supermen, and kind of fell off after Superman came back. I remember reading Nightfall, kind of faded away during Night Quest, and then I can't think of the name of the series, but whenever Bruce Wayne came back, I was reading that too. Okay, I'm eating into my time. So that continued really up and through high school, and I remember Age of Apocalypse coming out and being like, I don't understand, all of my favorite X-Men titles are being canceled, because before then we really didn't have reliable internet. We didn't know, hey, this is going to come out in 6 months. So really everybody thought that was the end of the X-Men, but that kind of, after that Age of Apocalypse ended and X-Men started all anew, I started collecting X-Force, X-Factor, Excalibur, Generation X, really anything with an X on it. And then that kind of followed me all through high school, and I stopped in college. My LCS had closed. There was a couple comic stores where I went to school, Rutgers, New Brunswick, but there was no reliable transportation to get there. So my interest kind of waned off of that. And after I graduated and was working, I kind of kept my ear to the ground. I would pick up a copy of Wizard magazine every now and then, and I had read that the story of Wolverine, my favorite character, was finally going to be told, his origin story. So I found the nearest local comic book store, which was Fat Moose Comics. At that point, they were in Whippany, New Jersey, in the Pine Plaza, which is no longer there, but Moose is still around. And I started coming in to get copies of Origin, and I kind of gradually eased my way back into X-Men, and then just started expanding from there. I would start picking up issues of the Avengers. This was right before Bendis took over. Iron Man, right before the movie started. I think some random issues of Captain America at that point. And then I also dipped into DC, but not as heavily. I was getting Batman regularly. That was pretty much it. And just random copies of Superman when they popped up. And then I started asking my LCS owner, it was Elon at the time, who now owns Mighty Moose in the Seattle area. Look him up, he's in the Factoria Mall. I've got 1 minute and 30 left. And he recommended a couple titles to me that were a little offbeat. Strangers in Paradise, which I never read. Astro City, I didn't really care for, but he got me into things like True Story, Swear to God, and really got my radar more up on independent titles. Throughout I've been collecting really nonstop since, and my collection's blown up because at one point I was just going from 1 Avengers title to 7, like everybody was. But now, as I have 1 minute left, as a father, I've kind of trimmed down my pull list, as I've documented on my channel. I don't get all the X-Men titles. I do appreciate most of them. New Mutants is my current favorite of the X-Men titles, and I could do a whole separate video on that. Wolverine will always be in my pull list. I recently dropped Batman, I felt like I had my fill of the character, but I find myself now in my 40s gravitating more towards some of the independent works and whatnot. But either way, I'm always enjoying it, and anything I miss, I've been trying to read digitally as far as Spider-Man or whatnot. And I'm trying to expand a little bit more into the digital comics as well. It's a great money saver and it's a great space saver as well, but I'm gonna have a whole nother video about that. So 15 seconds left. I just want to thank you for watching this video, watching my story. This isn't my official end of the story, but with 6 seconds left, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and vote for me for People's Choice in the Comic Book Community Awards. Okay, time is up. So I did it under 7 minutes, at least that portion of the story. Just want to take a second to give a couple quick shout outs to the people from my last video who successfully completed my shout out challenge. And again, if you're not familiar, I'm going to give you a hashtag in a few moments. Go ahead and leave a comment with that hashtag and you'll get a nice shout out from me on the next video. So looking at my screen here, those shout outs are for Brian LCS, the godfather, I guess you could say, of the Comic Book Community Awards, Collecting with Durs. Been watching his stuff a lot lately, very good channel. Wellbore, always a great guy, always dropping nice comments. Trev, the shipping guru, I've been talking up Trev a lot lately, so hopefully you checked him out. Delia Gunderson, the talented artist behind Isolation. That was the last video discussion we had. If we missed that, I'll put a card right there. Hopefully I'm not reversed when I go to edit that lately, but we'll figure that out. Cupo Comics, great. I'm not going to try to impersonate your voice again. And who else do we have? Oh, last one, the writer of Isolation, the talented Mr. Doug Bratton. So for today's hashtag challenge, I want you to leave me a hashtag 7 minutes. You can either spell it out or use the number 7, doesn't matter. So again, leave a comment and do hashtag 7 minutes and you will get a shout out on the next video. And by the way, remember to check out my weekly live show every Saturday morning for a chance to win some comics from my collection that I'm doing away with. You're not going to get my Hulk 181, but you'll get some nice trade backs and hopefully you find a story that you haven't checked out yet. And with that, I just want to say thank you for checking out this video. I appreciate you doing so. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't. Give me a thumbs up and share this video, please. Thanks again for watching. Peace, love, and comics. Take care.